Great. Let's start this session. When one is at all serious about this world, about what is going on in the world, outwardly and inwardly, it is not difficult to find that this whole world is in disorder. This world is a human consciousness. All the things that have been done by human beings is driven by the inner part, which is still the human consciousness. Superficially, there's order everywhere. The clean street, the decent behavior. But when we go beyond these superficialities, when it's really serious to look, observe, he'll find the mind is in disorder. Beneath this superficial order, there's chaos. There are numerous issues, problems. The mind is busy solving the issues while creating more issues. The mind is isolated. And the mind has such a strong urge to express. The more isolated we are, the stronger the urge is to express. When one is free of any isolation, one has no urge to express. And this society is based on expression. The name, the position, the fame, the function, everything is based on this expression. And our existence is mere some expression. And the expression becomes all important. But look at what is actually taking place in this world. The more we expressed, the more isolation. The further away we stay from each other. And there are all kinds of self-assertion. To strengthen the self. For a sense of certainty. There are all kinds of rules. The rules are made to protect the ego, the self. So everything around us is expression. The internet is full of all kinds of expressions. The mind craves to express for a sense of existence, which is mere an illusion. That's why it is so important to investigate, to examine together the essence of expression. The mind expresses itself via its own conditioning. Based on its limited, petty view, mixed with its own reactions, preference, pleasure, like or dislike. The mind wants to influence others, wants to drag other people into their own loop, its own loop. That's why this verbal world is full of contradictions, conflicts. Because one nonsense is against another. And that conflict, contradiction, pulls people further apart. But this urge to express never stops. That's why, in today's session, let's save the meaning of Tao Te Ching from Laozi. To find out together the meaning of being anonymous. find out how to live a life without the urge to express, to compound the beauty of being anonymous. How to live a sane, healthy life in this absurd, chaotic, and monstrous world. How to have a meaningful existence, not the verbal one. How to live beautifully in this ugly world. When one is really concerned about this, there must be urgency. The urgency to transform myself, to change myself completely. And this urgency is the energy of living. When it is not dissipated by all kinds of thoughts, pleasure, dreams, theories, views, illusions. So, do you have that energy now? Can you have that energy back? The origin of the whole world is beyond any names. Everything has a name, which is the root of human consciousness. Everything in the world is anonymous, isn't it? It's a fact. Do you see the fact, actually? But our consciousness is a language. It's a thought. We give names to everything we have seen. And then when the thing has a name, we tend to stop contacting the thing, because relying on names is convenient. When I know your name become all important. Then I cease to see you. Your name, your position, your story is in my head. Therefore, I forget you are actually a human being, totally anonymous. Do you also forget yourself? That you are anonymous human being? Or you are also trapped by the names, by the fame, the position, the personal experiences around that name? Is that what is actually going on in the world? Everyone is trapped in their own name, their self-image, their numerous personal experiences, viewpoints. Therefore, forgetting totally, everyone is anonymous, everyone is a human being. The mind is trapped in the abstraction by the various images. Therefore, totally isolated from nature, which is anonymous. When the mind is trapped in the known, the known is never anonymous. The knowns are the words, thoughts, ideas, views. Then the mind expresses itself as a reaction to the isolation in the verse. Is that so? Please look at yourself. Please investigate yourself. Go into yourself to see what is actually taking place. Can one stay with the fact, the actual fact, which is beyond any dispute? Not the fact created by the idea, by the viewpoints, by the expression. In this world that is trapped in the consciousness, we reduce the meaning of the word fact into some expressions. But the actual fact, not some words, but the actual fact that we are anonymous as human beings. It is beyond any dispute, argument. You can't argue that it is so. Can one live with this fact? Can one live without this urge to express? Come and see the truth of it. Come and apply this truth to one's living. The origin of the whole world is beyond any names. Everything has a name, which is the root of human consciousness. When deterring the desire via the simplicity of being anonymous, the desire is gone. When deterring the desire via the simplicity of being anonymous, the desire is gone. Life is sabotaged by desire. Desire makes life complicated. The urge to get, the urge to have, the urge to possess, the urge to experience. Various urges are dominating the life. And one desire is against another. Each desire has a different direction. So the mind is stretched, is in conflict. The desire to be famous, the desire to succeed, the desire to have more money, the desire of having various experiences. All those desires are the expression of the mind, aren't they? And the mind wants to fulfill the desire. When the desire is met, there's such a fulfillment, satisfaction, gratification, all the rest of it. And most people on this planet are caught in this trap of endless desires. Being dominated by the desire, life can't be simple. And this whole world is full of commercialism, consumerism. The society is doing everything to stimulate more desires. And this is done by other people's desire. Who are also part of society. So everyone's desire contributes to this society. And everything becomes so interwoven, so complicated. Is that possible for one to live a life not dominated by desire? Is that possible for one to live a life without stimulating more desires? When one is actually hungry, there's a natural desire to eat. It is a part of the intelligence of the neuron system. But when one looks at all those stimulated desires one is going through, they are all thought products. Like, dislike. It's all based on pleasure. When the mind is trapped by pleasure, then mind is open to exploitation and manipulation. And from the political world, commercial world, to every field in the society, they are doing the same trick. Being anonymous means being free of all the urges from the thoughts brought about by the pleasure, like or dislike. Is that possible for one to live a simple life with all those urges? Which means that is that possible for one to live a life with full attention at each moment? Being anonymous means that the mind is free from this verbal world. The verbal world is full of thoughts, pleasure. The actual world is not that. can one move out of that verbal world voluntarily, choicelessly. It does not mean that you don't speak anymore. When the mind moves out of this verbal world, everything stays in the right place. Truth is eternal, anonymous, and simple. It sounds small, but no one can twist it. When one is living with truth, one lives an anonymous life, a simple life. Such a living is immovable. Why? What is movable is thoughts, ideas. They are endless argument, persuasion, and influences. Politically, economically, socially, commercially. Where there are thoughts, there are manipulation and exploitation. Because thoughts are always changing, always movable. And when life is totally based on that, the mind is inevitably confused, utterly confused. When everybody is living in thoughts, trapped in their own desire, the urges to fulfill, everyone is isolated. People around me are only concerned about their own dreams, fulfillment. They want to dominate, exploit, and manipulate to fulfill their dreams, illusions. Can I move out of this ugliness? Can I live a life that is totally immovable? When my life is not based on thoughts, based on the fact, the actual fact, the fundamental fact, no one can twist it. When the life is based on this fundamental fact, the immovable state is the actual security. But most of us are seeking security from thoughts, ideas, theories. Then trapped in numerous illusions. But when the mind stops seeking, just stay with the fundamental fact, the fact of being anonymous, nobody can twist it. And the mind is really secure. There's no fear at all. Otherwise, the life is crippled by fear. The mind is crippled by fear. Out of that fear, there are more urges, more escapes, more oscillations. But truth is eternal, anonymous, and simple. It sounds small, but when one is really living with truth, there is the actual security, which is not the result of seeking or self-deception. And one must apply this to one's life, to come upon, to see the truth of this statement, which is never in the field of idea and thoughts. Truth is anonymous, and it is good at giving and forgiving. Therefore, it facilitates everything. When the mind stays anonymous, the mind empties itself in terms of thoughts, images, illusions, fantasies. The mind has tremendous space. Not the space created by thoughts, but this boundless state, this boundless space of the mind, when it can empty itself. That is also the essence of anonymous. The mind has space, tremendous, boundless space. In that space, this whole outward ugly world is no longer relevant. And in that boundless state, there's care. There's compassion. There's no resentment. There's no hatred. They are all the product of thoughts. When I resent somebody, the mind actually reacting to an image about somebody else, which has nothing to do with the actuality of that person. who is also anonymous. You see, those resentment or dislike or hatred are mere a product of thoughts, which only bothers yourself. Please see this fact. When I hate somebody, actually that hatred disturbs me. But when I live in truth, life is anonymous. There's no me at all. So truth can solve the issue, dissolve the dispute. It's that simplicity of being anonymous that solves the issue. But it still stays anonymous. All the issues are dissolved by this anonymous state. Therefore, being anonymous is being virtuous. It facilitates everything without claiming credit. In this world, there are all kinds of expression of doing good. To show off the so-called good in all kinds of ways. There are numerous charitable organizations which are expressing themselves via this image of doing good and being good. But actually, that image expressed in that way denies the goodness totally. That's why, in this world which is based on expression, there are so many phony things deceiving the mind, contaminating everything. The so-called doing good is still out of this urge of fulfillment. The mind is taking pleasure from that. Therefore, the expression of doing good matters much more than doing good, which require a state of being anonymous. So, goodness is being anonymous. Living in goodness is living in truth. Being anonymous means that life is free of any reward. Because being anonymous is already the reward. One must compound it by oneself in going to this deeply. One must live to find out. One can only live through the living to find out what is the truth. Truth is anonymous, and it is good at giving and forgiving. Therefore, it facilitates everything. And still, truth stays anonymous. One who is perceiving and acting does not speak carelessly. One who speaks carelessly is not perceiving or acting. When the mind is perceiving without the interference from the me, the acting or the action is immediate. The perceiving and the acting is one process. Just like when one sees the physical danger, one immediately recoil, stay away from danger. The action is instant, spontaneous, out of the perception. When one is walking along the cliff, one must stay away from the cliff because the danger is there. And in this modern world, in this way of life, can one perceive act without me as the man in the middle? When the me is there, the ego is there, the mind perceives it, perceives the thing around it, and the mind forms an idea about it. The mind is thinking about it, which is the self-centered activity, the me. And then the action is all to the idea, the thought, not the perception. So there's a space between perceiving and acting. That space is filled with me, all kinds of thinking. Therefore, in that space, there are numerous nonsense. The mind keeps expressing itself. Therefore, one can't perceive and act. Or the perception and action is separated because the me. Therefore, such a life is full of self-expression, denying the truth. It's a simplicity of being anonymous. So can the mind perceive and act directly? Perceive the danger of this world and act. But when the mind is thinking about its benefit, its pleasure, all kinds of considerations based on the idea of thoughts, which this society offers in all kinds of ways, then there's no action. the energy is dissipated by this verbal word. Therefore, the energy is not gathered. When there's energy gathered, there's only perceiving and acting. There's no space for the ego, for the me, at all. So, live a life of being anonymous is to have this energy gathered. Stay away from this verbal world where there are only ideas, thoughts, endless chattering. Which not only distorts the perception, also prevents any action. Instead, there are only reactions in that verbal world. That's the source of the degeneration. That's the source of the corruption. So, is that possible for one to be free of this verbal world with its numerous reactions? So the mind can perceive directly without those reactions, and therefore the mind can act immediately upon the danger, the actual danger of this verbal world. Living in this world laden with egos, the sage does not seek and keeps a low profile. The sage blends with the world in order to purify the world. Can one live an anonymous life in this expressive world? Utterly verbal world. When the mind stays anonymous, the mind never seeks. It merely stays with what is. When one is really living in that way, one is already a light to oneself and also light to others. One don't need to express itself. The very existence, living in truth, is the actual expression. No through words. And this non-verbal expression from this authentic living in truth has its far-fetched influence beyond any imagination. live in truth. The very living, which is authentic and total, is the expression, not the verbal expression. But this being anonymous is the expression. Which can actually influence this chaotic and confusing world for the real better. But that influence is not out of the urge or desire. Everything takes place in an anonymous way. And can one compound that state of being anonymous, the actual beauty of the living? So, all those words point to the truth, but the words are not the truth at all. Please don't agree or disagree with the speaker. Please look at it for yourself. Anyway, it is your living. You must take care of it. And penetrate all the superficialities. And this requires tremendous observation, hard work, diligence from you to find out a living that is free of illusions, that is actually practical, actually alive, energetic. And a life of aloneness, standing alone. And in that aloneness, everything is anonymous, therefore simple. And only such a state of mind can come upon this tremendous beauty of living, which is beyond any words and expressions. That's the whole content of today's session. And hopefully the mind can get some insight into its own issues, problems. Life is complicated, and hopefully each of us could stay simple. Use all your energy to live a simple life. And that's it. And hopefully, we can meet again in the future sessions. And also, welcome to donate to this initiative. This pure initiative to support it, to benefit as many human beings as possible. Take care. See you in the future sessions.